We begin the Gemara today on Daf Pei Gimel Amud Beis towards the bottom of the Amud. The Gemara begins with what we learned in the Mishnah. Rab Shimon ben Gamliel Oimer Chulu. So it said in the Mishnah, when a person makes a clear condition that he's not going to have any rights to his wife's properties when he's alive, when he passes away. So the Tanakama said that after he passes away, she passes away, that is, his wife passes away, he will not inherit her nichsei melug, the properties that she brought into the marriage. However, Rab Shimon ben Gamliel says that if she passes away, he will still inherit her because he's a masna al ma shekasa b'Torah. He's making a condition against what it said in the Torah. V'chol hamasna ma shekasa b'Torah tanoi batel. Such a condition does not take effect at all. On this, the Gemara says, okay, Rab Shimon ben Gamliel oim chulu. Omer Rav, so Rav said, halacha ke Rab Shimon ben Gamliel. Yes, we paskin like Rab Shimon ben Gamliel. He will still inherit his wife, but v'loi mitaymei. Not based on the reason that Rab Shimon Gamliel said that he's making a t'nai against Torah. So the Gemara asks, what does this mean that we are passing like Rab Shimon Gamliel, but not for his reason? There's a different reason. So what is that different reason? Now, if you're going to say, the pshat is as follows. Yes, the halacha is like Rab Shimon Gamliel, that when his wife passes away, he still will inherit her, and not for his reason. Rab Shimon Gamliel's reasoning was that when a person makes a condition against what it says in the Torah, the t'nai is nullified. However, Rav disagrees with this reasoning. Rav's opinion is t'nai kayam, that the condition does take effect. But what does Rav hold here? So why does he say that the halacha will still be like Rab Shimon Gamliel? Because Rav holds Yerusha Sabal de Rabbanan. When a husband inherits his wife, this is only Rabbanan instituted this. However, over here, Chachamim came and strengthened their institution that a husband should yarshin his wife even more than Torah. Minat Torah, that t'nai would take effect. As Rashi here brings what we learned earlier in the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda said, when you make a condition against Torah regarding a money matter, the condition does take effect, and therefore he would disagree with Rab Shimon Gamliel's reasoning. But over here, it's a Rabbanan de Yerusha, and the Rabbanan strengthened their Yerusha that you cannot make a t'nai to nullify their Yerusha. So this is what it means that he paskins like Rab Shimon Gamliel, but not with the same reason that Rab Shimon Gamliel said. On this, the Gemara asks, but v'sava Rav t'noi kayam, does Rav hold that when a person makes a condition against Torah, that his condition will take effect? But we learned over here also regarding a money matter. A person says to his friend, I'm selling you something, here, with the condition that there's no ino. That all the halachas of ino, as Rashi brings, it's in the Torah, leisainu, so it's masnal mashakasa b'Torah. So he says, even if I overcharge you, there'll be no arguments about this, and the sale should go through. So is this a condition you can make? So Rav Omar yesh le'alav. Rav says that the condition does not take effect. There still is a no. So here we clearly see that Rav said exactly like Rab Shimon Gamliel said, that even regarding a money matter, you cannot make a t'nai on the Torah. Shmuel says, Ein le'alav. Shmuel says, yeah, the t'nai does take effect, and there's no no because you made a clear condition. So the question is, we can't say that Rav disagrees with the reasoning of Rab Shimon Gamliel. He clearly said over here that the t'nai will not take effect regarding even regarding a money matter if it's a t'nai on what it said in the Torah. So therefore the Gemara switches what it said from before. Halacha ke Rab Shimon Gamliel. Rav is saying that halacha is like Rab Shimon Gamliel. The Omar hamasna mashakasa b'Torah t'nai batel. That one that makes a t'nai against what it says in the Torah, even regarding a money matter, the t'nai is batel. V'lav mitaymei. However, not like the reasoning of Rab Shimon Gamliel. So what does this mean? Rab Shimon Gamliel savar. Rab Shimon Gamliel in our case holds meisa yirushena, that if his wife passes away after he made a t'nai that I should not inherit her, so nevertheless he will inherit her because there's a t'nai on the Torah. But Rav savar meisa lo yirushena. Rav says in our case, when he makes this t'nai, the t'nai will take effect and he will not inherit her. And Rashi explains the reason is because over here, Rav holds that the Yerusha of a husband, when he yashins his wife, is only midrabanan. And Rav says that Chachamim did not strengthen their takana in this case, and therefore over here, you could make a t'nai against what the Rabbanan said. So therefore over here, Rav will disagree with the halacha and say that if she dies, he will not inherit her. The t'nai takes effect. That's the pshat in what Rav said. But that's not what Rav said. If so, it comes out that Rav, it's the reverse of what we said before. Rav really agrees to the reasoning of Rab Shimon Gamliel that you can't make a t'nai in what it says in the Torah, and he doesn't agree to his actual halacha here. In this case, he doesn't agree to this halacha because he holds that the Yerusha here is only midrabanan, so Yitnai will take effect. Elo, therefore the Gemara says a third pshat. Halacha, Rab Shimon Gamliel. Rav is passing like Rab Shimon Gamliel, the Oma Mesa Yerushena, that if she dies, he will not inherit her, v'lav mitaymei, and not with the reason that Rab Shimon Gamliel gave. The Il Rab Shimon Gamliel Sava, Rab Shimon Gamliel's opinion is bid oiraiset noi bottle. When a person makes a condition against something in the Torah, Yitnai does not take effect. But Habad Rabbanon noi kayam. That from that we understand that Rab Shimon Gamliel holds when it comes to something which is only midrabanan, and you make a t'nai against that regarding a money matter, even a money matter, the t'nai or also a money matter, the t'nai will take effect. And the Rav Savar, but Rav argues on this last detail here. Rav holds a fili b'drabanan t'nai bottle. That even when it comes to a matter that's only midrabanan, you cannot make a t'nai against this because Chachamim strengthen their takana like something which is min Torah. So he disagrees with one detail that comes out from the reasoning of Rab Shimon Gamliel. Fragt the Gemara, but he's not really arguing on the halacha or the reason that he says here. Hai ketaime ukehilchasehu. Here he is paskening like the reason of Rab Shimon Gamliel that you can't make a t'nai against Torah, and the halacha he said that a person will still inherit his wife even though he made a t'nai not to. And Rav Meisifu, Rav is just adding that this would also be true regarding a Yerusha or any institution with the Rabbana that you can't make a t'nai against this. He's only adding to what Rav Shimon Gamliel said. You can't say that it's a loy mitaymei, that it's not based on the reasoning that Rav Shimon Gamliel gave. Elo, so therefore the Gemara says, halacha Rav Shimon Gamliel da Oma. The halacha is like Rav Shimon Gamliel, which said, Imesa Yerushena, that yes, the husband will inherit his wife, the t'nai does not take effect, like Rav Shimon Gamliel said, but not with the reasoning of Rav Shimon Gamliel. And this goes back basically to what we said earlier, but here the Gemara says a bit different. Rav Shimon Gamliel's opinion is that Yerushas Habal Da'iraisa, that a husband inherits his wife min Torah. And when one makes a t'nai against what it says in the Torah, the t'nai does not take effect. That's the reason why he will still inherit his wife. Rav will agree to this concept that, like we proved before, Rav holds you can't make a t'nai against what it says in the Torah. But over here, in this case, it happens to be that it's not even something min Torah. The Yerusha of the husband is only midrabanan, and therefore it's a different reason why the t'nai won't take effect. Rather, the reason is that Chachamim, they strengthen their takana to be as strong as a halacha min Torah, and the t'nai will not take effect. That's the reason. So it's like the halacha of Rav Shimon Gamliel, but not like the reasoning of Rav Shimon Gamliel. Fragt the Gemara, Rav Savar Yerushas Habal D'Rabbanan. Does Rav hold that the Yerusha, a husband inheriting his wife, is only midrabanan? But what nan we learned in the Mishnah, Rav Yechanan ben Breika. Rav Yechanan ben Breika said, Hayerish Ishtay, the person that inherits his wife, like what we're speaking about over here. So Yachzel Ibnei Mishpacha. So, but then later when it comes to Yovel, that's what it's speaking about there, so he has to return this property to the family. And v'yanakalem and adamim, he should deduct from the amount that he charges them for this. So right now the Gemara thinks that he should charge them a cheap price for what he has to return to them. That's what Rabbi Yechanan ben Breika said. Now, v'avinam ba, on this the question was asked. My kasava, what does Rabbi Yechanan ben Breika hold? If his opinion is that the husband inherits his wife min Torah, amay yachzeh. So then, why does he have to return this when it comes Yovel? This is a Yerusha. Yerusha only applies to a buyer that has to return the fields that he bought to the seller by Yovel time, not what you inherit. If the Yerusha of the husband is only midrabanan and min Torah, it's not even his. So it has to go back to the family of the wife when it comes Yovel, and there's no reason to charge them at all. So regarding this, Rav explained, really, Rav Yechanan ben Breika holds that a husband will inherit his wife min Torah. Here it's an exception. Over here, he inherited from his wife an area which is a beis hakvaris for the wife's family. And mishum pegam mishpacha. This is a special thing Chachamim instituted because this will be a blemish for the family that now the husband gets this area, this burial plot, or this burial area, and he's going to bury his family members instead of the wife's family members being buried there. So therefore, Amar Rabbanan say, Lishkol dami v'lahader, take money and give it back. So according to this pshat, what does it mean that he deducts from the money that he charges them for this when he returns it to them at Yovel time? He can charge them for returning this burial area besides the area where he buried his wife. As we learned in Abraisa. Hamayche kivroi v'derech kivroi, a person that sells his kever and the way going to his kever, Mamadai, the place where when they carry the mace they stop there, Mokim Hespedai, the place where they eulogize him. He sold this all. The family members come and bury the person there, even against his will, of the lekeach, of the buyer, mishum pagam mishpacha, because this is a blemish for the family that they can't bury in their area where their family is buried. So over here as well, this is what Chachamim instituted, that when it comes Yovel, you give it back to the family. Besides, though, the plot that he buried his wife in, because that's his obligation. He has to pay for that area, so therefore that he has to deduct from what he charges them for what he returns. So the point is, though, that we see over here that Rav's opinion is that the Yerusha of the Baal is Menatayre. So that's what he said. That's how he explained Rabbi Yechanan ben Breike. So the Gemara explains, Rav le'taimei, that Rabbi Yechanan ben Breike kama. Rav is only explaining Rabbi Yechanan ben Breike's opinion. But v'leile svirle, he does not hold like Rabbi Yechanan ben Breike. He holds like Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, as the Gemara said before, that the Yerusha is all, in this detail he does not hold like Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, that the Yerusha of a husband from his wife is not Menatayre. It's only Midrabanan. Person passed away and he left a wife which wants to collect the Kesubos, and he left a balchayv, creditors that are looking to collect their loan, v'yarshin, and there are the inheritors. Now there's money that he left as a pekadon, someone that's holding it for him, or a milveh, a loan that he lent someone else money. Rav Tarfon says, who do we give this money to? The inheritors don't get it. Rather, give it to the one that is the weakest amongst them, the one that has the least power amongst them. He's the one that's going to get it. So the Gemara will explain between the wife that's looking to collect her Kesubos and the creditors that are looking to collect their loan, who is the weaker amongst them. But the point is, it does not go to the Yerush. It goes to them. They could collect from this. Now, as Rashi points out, the Chiddush here is, even though usually we do not collect for the Kesubos or for metaltalin or for the vachayiv, maybe even from the metaltalin, but nevertheless, because this is not money that's right now currently in the Yerush's possession, it's in the possession of the one that has the pekadon or the one that has the chayiv by him. So therefore, this is something that they can take, that they can collect from there, whether the wife or the vachayiv can collect from there, and then the Yerush won't get anything from this, from whatever they collect. Rabbi Akiva, however, Rabbi Akiva says, there's no mercy when it comes to paskening a din, and therefore they do not get it. Rather, this money, even though it's not currently in the father's possession when he passed away, it's either by a pekadon, so someone that's holding it, or by someone that borrowed this money. But first we collect the money, we give it back to the inheritors. And once we give it to the inheritors, so now the wife or the creditors will not be able to collect from there. And the reason is, as Rashi explains, once they get it back for themselves, so now this is metaltalin in their possession, and therefore the balchayv or the isha do not collect from this metaltalin. And he explains why we give it first back to the Yerush. Shekulan tzrichen shvua. Everyone else, when you collect from a person after he passed away, so you're going to have to take an oath to swear that you owe this money. But v'ena Yerushim tzrichen shvua. The Yerushim do not have to make any shvua to collect. Okay, this is something that we learned already earlier here, mentioned earlier in the Masechta. This also comes later here. This is in Gemara and Gittin. So the Yarshin that could take this without any shvua, so they immediately get it back for themselves from the person that's holding the pekadon or the person that's holding the loan. Once it's in their possession, so now the Isha and the Balchayiv will not be able to take anything from this. Sagt the Mishnah weiter, similar halacha. Hiniach peres tlushim in a karka. A person left after he passed away produce which is already detached from the ground. So this is metaltalin. So here, the Tanakama says, which this is really Rav Tarfon, whoever will grab it first will be zeiche in it. So essentially, what Rav Tarfon is saying over here is that if the Yarshim will grab a hold of this produce for themselves, they can keep it, they inherit this. But if they don't, if the Isha or the Balchayv will come and grab it, so then they have a koyach, after this person passes away and he owes them money, they have a koyach to grab. And whatever they grab will remain theirs. If what the Isha grabbed for herself for a Kesubos is more valued than the Kesubos, or if what the Balchayv grabbed for his loan is more than what he's owed, so then what do you do with the leftovers? So Rav Tarfon says, even the leftovers you don't give back to the Yarshim, to the inheritors. You give to the weaker one amongst them, which is not the inheritors but the other one. However, Rabbi Akiva says, there's no mercy when it comes to paskening a din. Ella yinasnu l'yarshin, you give it to the inheritors. Shekulan tzrichin shvua. Again, the same reason he said before. Everyone else, when they collect, have to make a shvua to collect. Then a yarshin tzrichin shvua. The yarshin do not make any shvua, so therefore they could collect it for themselves. We had two examples the Mishnah mentioned. That when this person passed away and there was a pekadin or a milveh, he had money either as a deposit that's being safeguarded by someone, or a loan that he lent to someone that has the money that he lent him. So why does the Mishnah have to say both examples of a loan and of a deposit? Says the Gemara Tzricha had to say both cases. If it would say only the case where a person died and he left a milveh that he lent money to someone, then I would say only in this case did Rab Tarfon say that the Yarshin, the inheritors, don't get this, and the Isha, the Kesubos, or the Balchayv could go and collect this for themselves. And the reason is because when you lend money, it's made to spend. So that money is not there in the possession of the people that you lent the money to. So when this person passes away and someone owes him money, they don't have that actual money in their possession now. That money was spent already. So there, the Yarshin don't have a right to grab that. The money itself is not there. So therefore we say that the Isha or the Balchayv could go and take for herself from there. But when it comes to a deposit, where the person is safeguarding it for you and it's right here, it is as it is here, and he's safeguarding it. Maybe over here I would say that they agree to Rabbi Akiva that says that because the Yarshin that is can come and take without a shvua, they take it first for themselves, and then no one else could get it from them. And the same is in the reverse. Vitaniha, if it would only say the case of a pekadin, but how come Rabbi Akiva, I would say, regarding the case of a pekadin, because it's here, it's still in the possession of the person that's keeping this deposit. So I would say here Rabbi Akiva said that the Yarshim take it immediately. But when it comes to a loan, which was already spent, and the money is not here, maybe Rabbi Akiva would agree to Rab Tarfon that the inheritors do not get this money because it's not even here presently. So therefore the Isha for her Kesubos or the Balchayv could go and take it for themselves. That's why it mentions both cases, the case of the Halva and the pekadin. What did it say in the Mishnah? Rab Tarfon says that the one that's the weaker amongst them is the one that gets it. So who's the weaker one? It means the one that's weaker with his raya. Rashi says this means the one that his shtar has a later date, so he has a weaker ability to collect money for himself from any buyers. So therefore, he's the one that gets it. Rav Yechina says, "L'ksubas isha." You give it to the isha to collect her ksuba, and the reason is because the isha cannot go and work to collect her ksuba. It's not the derech of the isha to go to find the money and to collect it for herself. And mishum china, this is in order for a woman to find grace in the husband's eyes, or the husband should find grace in the women's eyes, rather, that is, because otherwise they won't want to get married, being worried that they won't ever get paid their ksuba. So this argument here is a machlokes tanaim. Rabbi Yamin said l'koishel means l'koishel sheberaya, the one that has the weaker raya, v'hu kosher, and it's a right thing to do, to give it to the one that's weaker. Rabbi Lazar says l'ksubas isha, you give it to the isha to collect her ksuba mishum china, so that the husband should find grace in the women's eyes. They should want to get married to them. Hiniach peiris plushin. Then the Mishnah said that if there were detached fruits that were found, that this person left, that is. So what's the halacha there? So the Tanakhama starts saying that then the Balchayv or the Kesubos Isha can come and collect from it, not the inheritors. The leftovers, so Rab Tarfon says, we still give it to one of the two, the weaker one amongst them. We don't give it to the inheritors. And Rabbi Akiva says that over there, the leftovers go to the Yarshin. So it seems like all Rabbi Akiva is saying is that the leftovers of these peiros plushin, of these detached peiros, will go to the inheritors. Why is Rabbi Akiva saying that only the leftovers go to the inheritors? Kulu nami the Yarshin hava. Everything should go to the Yarshin. As we explained before, the reason of Rabbi Akiva is that the inheritors don't have to swear when they collect, this is theirs, they Yarshin it immediately. So therefore they get right away everything. So why does it seem like Rabbi Akiva here is saying that only the leftovers of these detached fruits is what they get? And says the Gemara Enochanami. True, that's what Rabbi Akiva means. Rabbi Tarfon was only speaking about the leftovers, that you give it to the weaker one amongst them. So Rabbi Akiva also mentioned the halacha that he said regarding the leftovers. But really, Rabbi Akiva meant to say that it goes directly to their inheritors, the entire thing. All of the detached fruits go to the inheritors. Or actually, according to Rashi, this is not really a question, but the Gemara is just wondering, trying to clarify Rabbi Akiva's opinion. Rabbi Akiva, Tfisa le'mahanya klal, is it true that Rabbi Akiva holds that after a person passes away, so the creditors or the woman for her ksubah have no ability at all to grab from the money of this person for themselves? This tfisa, this grabbing after he passes away, not help? Amar Rava, so Rava said, Amar Rav Nachman, the name of Rav Nachman, v'hu shetafas machayim. If he grabs if they would come and grab when the person is still alive, then they can come and grab. But only when he's still alive. After he passes away, they cannot come and grab. The Yarshim yarshin it immediately. The Gemara brings actually another machlokes here. Ula Rav Tarfon, according to Rav Tarfon. What did Rav Tarfon say? After a person passes away, so the ksubah, for the isha for her ksubah, or the bal chayiv could come and grab for themselves before the inheritors grab, and then they can keep what they grab. So now Rav Tarfon, the manchiyech, this halacha Rav Tarfon said that they can come and grab. Where was this money left? Rav Shmuel, Damar Tarvayu, Rav Shmuel both say this is only if it's piled up and it's lying in an open public place for everyone there. So therefore, it's not yet in any private area belonging to the inheritors, so they can come and grab. But if it was in a more of a private area on the side of the road, which is the area where business is done, you can make a kinyan meshicha there. There you can't grab from there because that's already considered like a private place that belongs to the inheritors, and it's like you're grabbing it from their house. You can't grab it once they have it. Rabbi Yechon and Reish Lakish Damri Tarvayu. However, Rabbi Yechon and Reish Lakish say Afila b'simta. Even in this private area where the business is done, but it's not their house, and you could come and grab from there after a person passes away to collect the money that you're owed. Says the Gemara, Doin Daini Rab Tarfon. There were Dayanim judges that paskin like Rab Tarfon that you could grab. But then when they came to Reish Lakish returned it. Reish Lakish said, no, you should go. Reish Lakish did not allow this. Reish Lakish said you cannot go and grab with, in this case, after he passed away, and he returned the halacha. He said, give it back. And Rabbi Yechon said to Reish Lakish, you make Rabbi Akiva's opinion as if this is something, or as Rashi says, as if this is a halacha l'Moshe Sinai, that even after the fact, when they already grabbed it, they still have to give it back. Even if you don't think the halacha is like Rab Tarfon, but nevertheless, after the fact, once they grabbed it, shouldn't they be allowed to keep it? Why are you saying that they should give it back like Rabbi Akiva's opinion? So there's a machlokes here between Reish Lakish and Rabbi Yechon, and b'diavad, do you have to return it like Rabbi Akiva's opinion or not? So shall we say, this is the basis of the argument between Rabbi Yechon and Reish Lakish. The Marsa Rabbi Yechon holds that when you made, Reish Lakish that is. Reish Lakish holds when you made a mistake regarding something that it says in the Mishnah, so therefore you have to return this. And the other opinion is that even if you made a mistake regarding something that it says in the Mishnah, so you don't have to return it after the fact that's already done. So over here, we know that the halacha is like Rabbi Akiva, and this is like a Dvar Mishnah, even though it's really only Rav and Shmuel that say so, but nevertheless this is considered to be like a Dvar Mishnah, that the halacha is like Rabbi Akiva. So the question is, after the fact, do I say this is a mistake and you have to return it or not? That's what it seems like the machlokes here is between Rabbi Yechon and Reish Lakish. Says the Gemara, not necessarily. The Kulam, everybody will agree, when you make a mistake regarding something that it says in the Mishnah, that usually you do have to return this, even with the Yevet. But here the argument is as follows. One opinion is the halacha is like Rabbi Akiva only when he argues with his friend, with a colleague of his, but not when he argues with his teacher. And Rabbi Tarfon, according to this version here, was his teacher. So therefore, we do not paskin like Rabbi Akiva here. That's where Rabbi Yochanan was wondering, why are you forcing them to give it back? And Reish Lakish says a halacha is like Rabbi Akiva even when he argues with Rabbi Tarfon, that's his teacher. So therefore he said they should give it back like Rabbi Akiva. A third version here is Kul everybody would agree halacha Rabbi Akiva that we pass him like Rabbi Akiva when he's arguing with a colleague, and not when he argues with his teacher. But here the argument of Rabbi Yechon and Reish Lakish is as follows. So one opinion over here is that Rav Tarfon was Rabbi Akiva's teacher. So therefore we don't paskin like Rabbi Akiva in this case. That's why Rabbi Yochanan said that he doesn't have to return it. Reish Lakish's opinion was that Rav Tarfon was a colleague of Rabbi Akiva, so therefore we do paskin like Rabbi Akiva in this case. Yet another pshat here, the Gemara says, everybody agrees that Rav Tarfon was only a colleague of Rabbi Akiva. Here, the argument is as follows. Shlakish holds that over here we learned that the halacha is like Rabbi Akiva. The halacha is like Rabbi Akiva when he argues with his colleagues. So that's a very clear-cut thing that the halacha is like him. So therefore, you're going to have to give back what was taken. But Rabbi Yechanan's opinion is matan itme. We only learned that the halacha leans towards Rabbi Akiva's opinion, but not an absolute that we say that the halacha is like his opinion. So therefore, after the fact, once the money was already grabbed, we're not going to force them to return it. Itmer. So again, sorry, that goes together. Matan itmer. That we learned matan that it leans only like Rabbi Akiva, but not that the halacha is clear cut like Rabbi Akiva. Now the Gemara brings a story. Kereve, the Rabbi Yechanan, a relative of Rabbi Yechanan, in this kind of situation when a person that owed him money and that person passed away, toughest part of the Yasmi Misimta. So he grabbed a cow of the Yisaimim from the Simta, from this area at the side of the Rosh Hashanah. So this is following Rab Tarfon's opinion that you can grab. Asla Kamed Rabbi Yechanan. So they came to Rabbi Yechanan, Amalahu Shapet Tafsesua. Rabbi Yechanan said, yes, it's right. Like Rabbi Tarfon said, once you grabbed it, it's yours, you can keep it. Asla Kamed Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. Then they came to ask Resh Lakish about this, Amalahu. So he said, Resh Lakish said to them, Zil Ahadar, go and return it. You're not allowed to grab this, like Rabbi Akiva's opinion. So Asla Kamed Rabbi Yechanan, they went back to Rabbi Yechanan. Amalahu, Rabbi Yechanan said, Ma'asa, what should I do? Shekenegdi Cholak Alai, the one that's against me, or Rashi actually says it means the one that's equivalent to me, as powerful as me, is arguing with me. A similar story, Yahu Bakr the Yasmi. There was a person that was a Bakr the Yasmi, meaning he was the watchman of the cattle for the Yisayim. The Tafsi Ture Minai Balchayv came, someone that was owed money from this person, from the father that passed away, and he came and he grabbed an ox. Amar, and then he came and said, Mechayim tefisna. I grabbed this ox when the person was still alive. So then everybody agrees, even Rabbi Akiva agrees that I'm allowed to grab it. But the watchman of the cattle said, no, Lacha Misatov said. He really grabbed it after the person passed away, and according to Rabbi Akiva, at this point he's not allowed to grab. Osla Kamed Rav Nachman, so they came in front of Rav Nachman. Amar Lei. So Rav Nachman said to this watchman of the cattle, do you have eidos that can tell us that he actually grabbed it? Do we know this as a fact that he actually even grabbed it? Whether before or after, do we have eidos about this? So he said, Lav, no, I don't have any eidos about this. If so, Rav Nachman says the person is believed to keep it. Since now it's in his possession. Once it's in his possession, he has the ability to say, I bought it, it's mine. He has a chazakah on metaltal, something that's in your possession, and you say it's yours, you bought it, there's a cheskas metaltal as long as it's in your possession. So he could have said simply that I bought it. So therefore, he's also believed to say that I grabbed it from when the person was still alive, and therefore then I had the right to grab this. So this is the concept that's known as amigo, right? If a person has a better taina, he could have said, and he says the weaker taina, so he's believed. That shows that he's a trustworthy person. But the Gemara asks on this psaktin, Reish Lakish said, "Hagoydres eilem chazake." When a person has goydres, Rashi says, refers to small livestock. In the pasuk, it uses the expression gidres tzayin. So a person that has small livestock in his possession, he can't claim any chazaka on this, that it's mine, it's here, it's in my possession, and I bought it, and the proof is just by the very fact that it is in my possession. There's no proof at all. Why? Because livestock, as Rashi says, are things that wander around, and a person can just grab it. They wander out of a person's property, and the fact that you now have it proves nothing that you bought it for yourself. So how could Rab Nachman say that they have a migu that they could have said that they bought it? That's the Gemara, that's small livestock. But over here, Shani Tura the Mesira L'Raya. Over here, we're talking about an ox which is given over to a shepherd which takes care of this. So this is something which is completely different. Over here, they don't just wander off, and if it's in your possession, he could have claimed that he bought it. So therefore, you have to believe him that he grabbed it in the father's lifetime. So the Gemara brings down another story that Rebbeinu Siyah, the people from the house of the Nasi, Tofes Amsa the Yasmi Misimta. So they also were owed money, and they grabbed a maid that belonged to Yisaimim. Where did they grab it from? From a simta, from that private area that's off the Rosh Hashanah. So are they allowed to grab it or not? So Yosef Rab Avo, Rab Chanina Bapapi, Rab Yitzchak Nafche, Yosef Rab Abba Gabayo. So these Tanoim, or these Amirayim rather, were sitting here, and Amar Lahu, or the other gears over here is Amru Lahu. So they said to them, for the people from the house of the Nasi, Shaper Tafsisua. that what you did is right. You're allowed, like Rab Tarfon's opinion, you're allowed to go and grab this. Amalu Rabbabe, so Rabbabe that was sitting amongst them said, Mishum de bein nesiyin inu mach nefisulahu, because these are the people coming from the powerful house of the Nasi, so therefore you're flattering them by telling them that they did right to grab this. But we know that v'hadayin dainik Rab Tarfon, the story we brought before, that the judges paskin like Rab Tarfon, and Rish Lakish returned it even after the fact. Rish Lakish said, give it back, like Rabbi Akiva's opinion, and you can't grab. So why are you paskening this way? Another incident that happened, Yemer Bachoshu, have a masik bezuze bahu gavra. Yemer Bachoshu, a name of a certain individual. So he was owed money, he was trying to collect money from a certain person. Shachev, this person passed away. And Vishavik Arba, he left a boat. So he tells to his agent, he appoints a shliach and says to him, Zil Tavsua, go and grab it for me. Azal Tafsa, he went and grabbed the boat for the Balchayv, following Rab Tarfon's opinion that you can grab this. So he went and grabbed it. What happened? Rav Papa and Rav Yeshua encountered this individual that's grabbing the boat from this person that passed away for the Mishaleach for his loan. And they said to him, Amrulei, they said, as a shliach, you can't grab this. What you're grabbing, which is a benefit for the one that sent you to collect his loan, but it's a loss for others. And when it's a loss for others, as a shliach, you don't have the right to do this. Rav Yechanan said, if you're grabbing for your balchayv that sent you, but this causes a loss for others, loikana, you don't have the right, you don't have the ability as a shliach to go and do something which is a chus for the person that sent you, but is a loss for others. The kayach of shlichut doesn't apply in such a case. So you can't go ahead and grab it, even if we're going to follow Rab Tarfon's opinion that you can grab after the person passed away for your loan, but over here you can't go and grab this. Now what happened? Tafsua inu. So they, Rav Papa and Rav Yeshua, grabbed this for themselves because they were also owed money from this person. Rav Papa, so now there was an argument between them. Rav Papa mimlach maluchi. Rav Papa grabbed the oars and started rowing, and he was trying to grab it for himself in this way. And Rav Yeshua mimtach labashla. He was pulling the ropes of the boat and grabbing it for himself. And each one said, I acquired the whole thing first, and each one, they were fighting, each one trying to grab it for themselves. What happened? Pagod Rav Pinchas Barami. Rav Pinchas Barami encountered them in Amalahu. So he said to them, going back to what we learned in the previous Amod, that either way, what you're grabbing over here in this situation is not good, because Rav, Shmuel, the Amri Tarvayu, Rav and Shmuel both said, even according to Rav Tarfon that said that you could grab from a person after he passes away, that that's only if the money or the item is piled up and is sitting there in an open public place. And over here, he assumed, where did they grab this boat from? From the dock, which is similar to a simta, like a side area, not the public place. So therefore, how could you grab it all? Amaluhu, so Rav Papa, Rav Yeshua, others are greatest here. Omrulei, they said to him and answered him, no, we didn't grab it from the dock. We did grab it from more into the middle of the river where everyone is traveling, and that's where we grabbed this boat from. So according to Rav Tarfon, we have the ability, the right to grab, even according to what Rav and Shmuel said. What happened? Also, they came to Rava with their argument, who is the one that grabbed it. Amaluhu. So Rava Paskin then said as follows: Kaki Chivri, white geese. It's because they were older people and they had white beards. So he referred to them this way, and he said, Glimi de inchi. Again, Mishalchi Glimi de inchi. You are removing, you're grabbing people's garments from them. In other words, he's telling them, you don't have the right to grab this. Why? Because Hachi Omer Rav Nachman, this is what Rav Nachman said, Vuhut Shetafsa Mechayim, that you only have the right to grab it when the person is still alive. In other words, he paskined like Rabbi Akiva, that we said before. Rabbi Akiva says, after the person passes away, you can't grab. You could only grab when he's still alive. So therefore, none of you have the right to grab this at all.